Welcome to Bilingual Book Buddies podcast and webcast. Bilingual Book Buddies is dedicated to promoting bilingual books for children and sharing insights from authors, illustrators, editors, agents, and anyone involved in bringing these stories to life. I'm Claudia Sloan. I'm one of 3 co-hosts of Bilingual Book Buddies. I'm an artist who also writes and illustrates books for children. One of my goals in doing so is to help increase access to good quality bilingual and Spanish language children's literature. I've illustrated and translated several books for other authors, and I have written and illustrated 2 picture books that have been published. In fact, one of them is my newest bilingual picture book titled We Are the Valley, Somos el Valle, which was an amazing collaboration with my favorite NBA and WNBA professional basketball teams, the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury. And signed copies are available exclusively at my website. And now let's welcome my co-hosts, Silvia Lopez and Alicia Salazar. Bienvenidas! Each will tell us a little bit about herself, and then we'll introduce today's special guest. Silvia, adelante, por favor.
Hello, I am Silvia Lopez. I am a bilingual Cuban-American author living in Miami. I was a school librarian for many years before turning my lifelong love of reading into writing for books for children, writing books for children. I have published about 20 books, mostly bilingual, which include nonfiction, folktale retellings, easy readers, and biographies. My books have received the Florida Book Award twice and have earned starred reviews. I will be publishing 3 more picture books and 1 easy reader in 2026 and 2027.
Hi, I'm Alicia Salazar, a children's book author and former teacher. I've written bilingual and English language books for young readers, including the Camilla the Star series, Trolls, Loch Ness Monster, and my recently published picture book, Cascarones, An Easter Surprise. I'm passionate about stories that celebrate culture, spark imagination, and encourage kids to express themselves, especially in more than one language.
And I have the pleasure of introducing our guest today. Nomar Pérez was born on the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, where he grew up in the city of Ponce, a unique city with new and old Spanish colonial architecture and an amazing array of colors, sounds, and flavors. After leaving his homeland at the age of 10 for the United States, Nomar studied computer animation and painting at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, where he found himself in touch with all types of media, including animation, puppetry, and computer art. Since then, he has worked, among other things, as an illustrator and as a designer on a variety of children's books for both the educational and mainstream markets. So welcome, Nomar, to our Bilingual Book Buddies.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
I also have the privilege of asking you the first question today, Nomar. This is great. So I think this is what's in everybody's mind. Can you start by telling our listeners a bit about yourself and your journey from Puerto Rico to becoming an award-winning author and illustrator in the United States?
Oh, sure to do that. It's been a dream come true. I mean, I loved to do art since I was little. I used to draw on my notebooks in school, and I had a little bit of influence here and there because my dad also liked to draw as well too, and he did a few murals here and there in places. But I was also influenced by music as well too, especially through my dad. So the artistic kind of flair was there in our family. We were a family of 6, 3 boys, including me, and 3 girls. So my dad had lost his job in Puerto Rico, so we had family here in Ohio. So we decided to move out here. My dad decided to move. But it was a very crazy move because even though we knew a little bit about the United States, and Puerto Rico obviously is very influenced by it. um, I did not want to change at all. And I remember watching Plaza Sésamo and Sesame Street in Puerto Rico and just thought like, wow, how you could wear any type of clothing over there in Puerto Rico. A lot of the schools have uniforms. And it found it intriguing, but at the same time, I found it very I don't know. I was just nervous about the whole change. And I still remember at telling my dad, I said I was just gonna stay with my grandma for the rest of my life, because I didn't want to go to the United States. But we ended up moving, and it was for the good. It was a struggle, just adjusting with the language, adjusting with the seasons, especially winter. But little by little, we all kind of acclimated to do different things. And, um, again, my interest in art continued through high school and then through college. Originally, my dad, kind of frowned on me to see if I would become an engineer. And I did start kind of taking some classes, but then I ended up switching to painting and drawing, which it was something that I always wanted to do. So once I made that switch, I just started getting influence. One of my first jobs was also in the library when I was in school, so that was also a big influence for us, because I still remember my dad used to pick us up at the library. When we were out of school, because that was the only place that we would wait for him to come and pick us up. So I still remember browsing through the illustration books to the art books, and it just opened my eyes to so many different things. I remember, the children's books as well too. But, it was there, but I just never thought that I would even go into that. It just seems such a lofty goal to do. But again, I just got influenced when I went to college. I also worked at the library as well too, and it was more influence as well too. So that definitely, made an impact on me, with the library, the books, and all the type of learning. At that time, there wasn't internet at that time. It was just kind of starting. So that just forced you to look through books and look for information that way. And then eventually I went into community college. I studied art, and then I went into Bowling Green State University after that, which I transferred for computer art. And then that opened up the doors to go into work for American Greetings as a graphic artist. And then from there, moving into doing illustration for them for a while. And that also opened the doors too to go into children's books through, meeting my agent, getting to know other illustrators that were also doing children's books. And immediately I submitted my work, and my agent picked me up, and I started doing some school publishing work. And then, like I said, like the rest is history. I've been with her, I want to say almost 18 years or so with my agent, and a lot of ups and downs, learning different things. And she was also a big help in pushing me to get to write my own story and illustrate it as well too. So everything in a little nutshell.
That's a wonderful, wonderful telling of your journey. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I am very pleased that libraries had an influence on you. I mean, yes. I always knew that, but it's nice to hear it. It's nice to hear it from someone else. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to pass you over to Alicia, who has the next question.
Okay, so now I want to talk specifically about one book, Coquí in the City, received Pura Belpré Honor. What inspired you to write and illustrate that particular story?
So definitely my life experience. And that's been something that even, I don't know, I think it's good to come up with imaginative, worlds and imaginative stories. But I think, I don't know where I read it, but there was a little article that I had read that about children's book illustration and writing, that the person said, look at your life, look at your life experiences. And so that stuck with me. And I remember cutting it out and putting it in one of my sketchbooks. And I kept thinking about that until the opportunity came. And, I put a little paragraph together of kind of like what the story was about. But again, it was just me pouring out my experiences of, moving to the island, how different it was going to be, how me adjusting to the new culture, learning about new cultures. So it came out very naturally, as far as like putting it into words and also illustrating it as well, because I already had lived that experience. And the beautiful thing too about it too is that, it's a story that's mine, but it was also a story that's familiar for a lot of different people too. So anyone that could read the book, they could also relate, even if you're not Puerto Rican. It was made for, from my experience, and a lot of Puerto Ricans relate to it. A lot of Puerto Ricans cry when they read the story, young and old. So it's been amazing to see that reaction from everyone. But it's been awesome to be able to put that into words and into an illustration, that it's almost like a full package of that experience that I had.
Next question. You mentioned the difficulty of finding books that reflect how Puerto Ricans truly speak and live. So what advice would you give to authors and illustrators trying to make a story or illustration that feels authentic to their culture or a particular culture?
I think it's definitely, maybe before, I feel if you would kind of try to make something, that sounds the same for everyone. But I think we have a good opportunity now to express our culture in a unique way of how we see it. Because I think even in my job, I've been able to influence a lot of the Hispanic line of cards, and also educating them as well too, that there's diversity within the Hispanic community. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, that it's not everyone sounds the same, not everyone speaks their Spanish the same. And I think using that as a tool to be able to communicate your stories, again, gets the point across of where you came from in your culture. But at the same time, those, we could connect with similar themes as well too, but just saying it in a way that, a Puerto Rican say it, a person from Cuba says it, a person from South America says it. So those things just, the themes unite us, but then the diversity comes in how we speak it. And it's good to learn about how other people speak their Spanish, and different words that are different for Puerto Ricans are different for someone from Honduras or from Salvador. So, it's good to see those different differences.
I'm going to throw an impromptu, just follow-up question related.
Yeah.
So when you're choosing, like in this case for de aquí como el Coquí, for your Spanish, obviously you stuck with more like Puerto Rican Spanish. You mentioned quesitos, you mentioned, cositas, cositas que son de Puerto Rico, ¿no?
Sí.
Things that are specific to Puerto Rico. But for other stories, and this is more just my own curiosity, because I've heard it quite a bit. It's like, well, in the US, what is the language that most Spanish-speaking people speak? It was a tough question because it really depends on where you're at, right? And then of course your books, where are they gonna be, right? And so sometimes we go, well, we gotta go with Mexican Spanish. No, okay. So in your case, do you say, well, I'm Puerto Rican, so I'm going to stick with Puerto Rican Spanish, or no, because the market is going to be mostly Mexican Spanish readers, I'm going to try to do Mexican Spanish or Cuban Spanish, or how do you deal with those?
I mean, at least with Coquí in the city, I mean, Nancy Mercado was my editor, and she was like, go ahead, like I think there's always little things that, within the publisher that they do want to customize based on the market or where it's going to go. But she was very open to us, and even originally I believe there was translator that was going to be chosen for it, which would have been fine. But at the same time, when we went through it, we just felt that the Spanish version needed to be like written by a Puerto Rican. So my wife stepped in. She's from Puerto Rico, so she was the one that did the translation for it. So it worked out really well because we were able to go back and forth on different ways of, different names and different words that we wanted to kind of touch in there and apply to the writing. So that helped a lot. So again, Nancy was very open for us to, we would go back and forth. We need to say it this way. And she was like, okay, I believe you. Let's go for it. So they were very supportive. They were very supportive.
I'm so glad that I asked that follow-up question because here we can give thanks and credit to your lovely wife for stepping in and sharing some of her talent in
her name is Pura Belpré.
It does feel very original. It feels I really enjoyed reading it.
Thank you.
And I'm not from Puerto Rico, but I particularly enjoy the words and the portions of it that are specific, to Puerto Rico.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Claudia, I'm so glad that you continued the question because it was such an important point to touch. I remember many years ago when books first began to be made bilingual or in Spanish. I remember the comment, well, it's not Castilian Spanish.
Yes.
I'm sure some of you have heard that. Well, it has to be Castilian Spanish.
Oh, and I've heard that a few times.
You're going, how many Castilians live in the United States? You're going, okay. I think it's wonderful. I think your answer was beautiful to that lovely question that Claudia made. There are so many differences, but we are lumped together.
Yes.
Which is okay because we have so many things in common.
Yes.
And then lumping us together is fine as long as there is a little bit of that leeway to go and expand into what we know best or where we come from or the type of language the Spanish that we speak. That's a lovely thing because diversity is actually it's a very good thing. I think it shows children that it's okay. All of these differences are okay. They're fine to do. And the more we know, the more we learn, the better people we become.
Yes.
But I'm just going to say that one thing is we have to be careful because I know there are words for certain languages.
Oh, yes.
For certain parts of South America. And there have been times when in a critique review that you've gone, no, we don't want to use that one. Okay, let's find a synonym for this. But overall, and then when you have a book like Coquí in the city, it's Coquí is in Puerto Rico. Los Coquís están en Puerto Rico.
Sí.
They are there. Igual que el zunzuncito que está en Cuba. I mean, we have these tiny little things that are just part of that culture and that country. And so it is only right that, first of all, it's your story. As a Puerto Rican coming to the United States, it's your story. But also it reflects the general idea, like you said, of an immigrant coming to the United States. But it was a good thing that you kept the Puerto Rican flavor to that book. And I think that's why it won the awards that it won. And that's why it became such an outstanding book, because of that you made. Okay, and I have the next question. You've illustrated bilingual books featuring some outstanding Hispanic figures like Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Yep. Yay!
I am blessed. And Lionel Messi. So we have two outstanding Hispanic figures from different parts of the world, but making a mark. And so can you walk us through the research process that you needed to do for those projects? Because they're different. So tell us a little bit about your research.
And Sylvia, I'm going to interrupt real quick. So while he's answering, every now and then, can you show us a little bit about Lionel Messi and Sotomayor's books?
Well, Sonia's up there.
Oh,
So
it's behind. Okay, well,
I didn't. Oh, there he has it. He has
okay,
it.
okay. That way we can show our viewers a little bit
Yes,
of each while
of
he's answering
course.
the question. And I'm gonna
Sure.
ping whoever has the book out so that it can
Sure.
post
It's
it.
in English
So
and Spanish, both of them.
yes.
They're both in
That was
English
very
and
awesome
Spanish.
that they did that. I was so happy that they were made available both English and in Spanish. But
Yes.
I'll start with Sonia Sotomayor. Again, I knew a little bit about her. I knew she was Puerto Rican. Um, but a lot of it was, gathering some photos. One big deal was to just making sure that the likeness, it's there. I'm used to doing a lot more cartoony kind of work. So I wanted to make sure that I capture her essence and who she was. And then, going through the pictures, going through old photos. And that's how I got to know her a lot, also reading about her a little bit. And obviously reading the manuscript as well, too. One interesting thing that I'm going to tell you about when I started illustrating the book was that I was finishing coming from Puerto Rico. I was doing a bit of a, kind of showing off the Coquí in the city in Puerto Rico. I got invited to a couple bookstores over there, and I also got to present the book also in my hometown of Ponce as well too. So on my way back, I still had not had time to kind of look at the manuscript to start on the book, but we were presented. My daughter at the time, she wasn't feeling good, so we did some follow up when we got back to back home because she looked very skinny. She was drinking a lot of water. She would just didn't feel good. So on our way back, we took her to the doctor. We found out at that time that she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So the interesting thing is that once, we were going through that and I started, after we were able to get her to the hospital, she came back. I went in and digged into getting started on the book. I found out that Sonia Sotomayor is type 1 diabetic.
Right.
So it was I mean, even like I talk about it now and my hairs stand up because it was a good way to show my daughter that even though she was going through this situation, with the insulin and it's a change of life pretty much
Yes, it
because
is.
of the type of things that we have to be considerate now. Um, I could show her that someone like Justice Sotomayor struggled through the same thing, and she was still able to make it, in this world and become someone great. So it was an awesome opportunity to start illustrating, the book, going through and also showing my daughter the book and showing her firsthand, look, this is something that they could teach you that you could still, even though you might have a illness that lasts forever, you could still make it and move forward with it. So thank you, Sylvia, for this, because this definitely helped us through this situation, definitely a lot. So
Nomar, that makes it so personal for me. It really does. I read a lot to write that book as well. And that particular instance of her diabetes, how she injected herself, her parents they couldn't do it. They were so upset about it. And she was
yeah
6 or 7 years old, and there she was. She injected herself for the first time. And here she is now, such an outstanding person. It doesn't get any better than Justice of the Supreme Court. I
yeah
mean, if you're going to
yes,
if you're going to study law, that's where you want to go.
that's a big deal.
It's a
That's a
big
big
deal.
deal.
It's something to be
And so
really
I'm
proud
so
of.
glad. I'm so glad that it worked out, and that it was. This is why we write, right, ladies?
Hmm.
This is why we write, right, Nomad? We write
Hmm.
because even if it's just a little portion of one of our books, just a sentence, just an illustration that makes a difference in a child's life,
Hmm.
that's why we write children's books.
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I'm blown away that you have told this story.
And,
And
and,
so
and I
now I'm
have to
going to tell you
interrupt.
this one.
I have to interrupt because our listeners who are not able to see the book of Sotomayor, they won't know. So who is the writer of that book, Nomar?
Sylvia Lopez.
Yay!
Here.
So Sylvia and Omar had collaborated in the past, and Omar was the illustrator of this lovely book. This is for our listeners that are not able to see what's on the screen.
Gotcha.
So continue with your answer now about
And I
Lionel
have the
Messi.
book of Lionel Messi, who's also a Miami guy now. I mean, he was Argentino, pero he's here now. He's ours now.
So similar with Lionel Messi también. It was again gathering information about him, the likeness as well too, being able to, I went through a lot of sketching just to get his likeness, and working with with the writer and also working with the publisher to make sure that I was getting his likeness. There was also things, as far as like with this spread, I remember turning it in and they told me he actually kicks on with his left. So that was something that I had to adjust as well too. But it was a fun opportunity because it's almost like getting to know, the person, even though I've never met him and I would love to meet him. Sylvia, mira a ver si me hace esa conexión por ahí. Que tú estás en Miami.
I have a granddaughter that she's here, but she plays for the Nicaraguan 17 and under team. Yes.
Wow.
So she's because my son-in-law is a soccer coach. So yes, if I can meet him, yes. I'll introduce you and her to him, and both of you will pass out from excitement.
Yes. But again, it was a great opportunity to be able to not only be able to do a children's a little golden book, which was also a dream come true for me, to get the opportunity to do two. It's awesome. And again, to get to know each person and get to know their background and who they are, the different obstacles that they had to overcome, definitely spoke to me as well too, because again, it's relatable themes that, going back to Coquí in the city, it was something that, that I had to overcome as well too. So it was an amazing opportunity to be able to do these. Hopefully I'll get to do more as well.
Thank you. All right, we're going to pass it on to Alicia.
Yeah. Okay, so Our World is a Family, one of your books. The text of the book includes words in several languages and shows many different cultures. Tell us a little about what you did to make this book and its characters relatable to children.
So definitely working very close with the author to be able to get the look of the different cultures, not only with the language which they provided, but also to be able to instill and showcase the different types of culture, the whatever the attire that they were wearing, the scenes. It just was a really good connection to be able to go back and forth with them, and just get those characters to read differently. Obviously, Our World is family. It's one of the co-authors. I believe they have an organization that helps with refugees from Arabic countries, I believe they are. And so they help them. Help them to get situated. So that was also a good connection too, because I think there was a spread there that I did with the table with all the food. They were also making sure that the food looked what they ate, and that it was correct as well too. So again, a lot of it is just doing your homework and just asking, is this right? What do I do here? And I've been blessed to be able to have that good communication when I get started on projects, and it just helps to develop a lot of the characters even more. So definitely a really good book.
This was lovely. And I like the fact that it tells the same story about
Mhm.
all these different families. They all are in the same situation,
Yes.
and they all manage and they all handle it. And it's lovely. And then the illustrations just bring everything to life for the children.
Yeah. I
Illustrations are
did like,
beautiful,
thank
very
you.
It
beautiful,
is
all of them.
beautiful.
I did like working on that because again, it shows everyone, no matter where you came from, no matter uh, your background or your culture, that the world is our family. Our neighbor. Doing good to our neighbor. Going around and I encourage that for my kids too. That yeah, we have neighbors, but doesn't mean that we don't interact with them. And the book helped a lot as well too, just to get them encouraged with reaching out to our neighbors. We have a lot of elderly neighbors on our side, and it's been great for them to do that as well, to encourage them to be there. A meal. Sometimes when we cook, we take food to them as well too. So it's been great.
Fabulous, beautiful work. In the
Thank you.
sketches of the previous books of Sotomayor and Lionel Messi, I mean, that had to be quite a bit of pressure in there trying to get their likeness and be sure not to upset anybody and all those things. So
Yes.
going, when we draw cartoons, I'm an illustrator too. So when we draw cartoons, some people can laugh about it, but some other people take it too personal. So
Yes.
you did amazing. You did really beautiful
Thank you
work.
so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I do have the next question. So, from your perspective as both author and illustrator, what are some unique challenges or opportunities that come with creating bilingual books for children?
Um, I think it goes back to be able to present your culture. And especially again, if the plus thing with this too is that like with the children's the little golden books, to have the books both in English and in Spanish. It's such an important thing, because again, even going back to Coquí in the city, obviously we did it in English, but we were already, even before the publisher decided to go into doing a Spanish, we were already like, my wife was like, this needs to be in Spanish. How are we going to reach more people if we just do it in English? So that's a big, big, big importance to be able to, and I think it's a very successful thing when they're both presented in both English and in Spanish.
Excellent. Wonderful. Okay. Nomar, our listeners include teachers, librarians, and parents. What would you say to them about the value of bilingual books in building empathy and cultural understanding? I think you addressed it a little bit with your own children. What would you say to other parents? What's the value of that, of having children read bilingual and multicultural books like yours, in building empathy and cultural understanding?
Oh, I think it just opens the kids' minds to see what's out there. That there are different, cultures. There is different ways of saying things. And also as a learning tool, even for people that don't speak Spanish. A lot of people I've given them the book, and even people from different cultures that you wouldn't even think that they would use it, but they find value in that. And even even to the point of just using the Spanish book of de aquí como el Coquí, and I'm just completely blown away that they're still able to take that book in Spanish and learn from it, and learn about someone that doesn't even come from the Puerto Rican culture, someone that doesn't even come from this a Spanish upbringing or culture. They're able to take that in and learn from it, and use it, as a tool to be able to teach their kids about other cultures, about how, overcoming different things, overcoming obstacles. And, again, those are universal themes that go across different cultures, but it's just so awesome to be able to see someone from a totally different culture gravitating to a Spanish book. It's amazing.
Thank you. Wonderful answer. Alicia?
Can you tell us about any upcoming books or projects you're particularly excited about?
So I just finished this one, Batter Up, for the first day of school. This was, I believe, out in March by Bethany Hegedus. This was a lot of fun to do because I was able to incorporate my sister, because I'm actually, that's probably one of the other questions that you were going to ask me, something unique about myself. I'm actually a twin with my sister. And so it was nice to be able to go over and illustrate this book based on two twins as well too. So brought a lot of memories with my sister, and I actually dedicated the book to her as well too. So I was really happy about that. And then obviously the next one is where are the pink pájaros, that I'll be working on that.
And who is the
Where
author?
haven't heard that one? I've heard that title.
Yeah, tell us more
So-
about that
Blown
one.
away. I was blown away. And the co-author is out of the country. So
Oh,
I
okay.
had to like text her and say, you're not going to believe what I just found out.
So
Yeah,
I'm
so
super excited about that.
Yes,
Again,
am I.
the connection I have on that when I read it was that my grandmother in Puerto Rico, she loved animals, and she had some unique animals, which is the story that I planned on telling before, later on. But she was just the same way too. With having animals, and obviously with this instance with birds. So I'm excited. I'm excited to bring in my artistic talent and bring this to life even more.
Cannot wait
Thank you
to
so
see
much.
what you do with that. And for our listeners who may not have caught this new book that Omar is working on, we just learned here at the podcast that the author is our very own Sylvia Lopez.
And Susan
Yay.
Rose, because we're co-authors.
Yes, yes.
And her
We're
co-author is
co-authors.
Susan Ross. But Omar is the illustrator, and Sylvia did not know about that yet. So it was a beautiful surprise to find out this morning here in the podcast. So thank you, Omar, for sharing.
Yay. Yay, you're welcome.
How exciting. Well, I do have the very last question. Our time goes very fast. Well, we still have 3 more questions after these that are very short and quick. But this one, what do you hope listeners take away from your stories when you created them, both as creator and as someone passionate about bilingual children's literature?
So I feel like they would take and see the authenticity on especially what I put in and what I bring in. Obviously, I've gone through my situations, and especially with Coquí in the City, I was able to pour that in as an author and illustrator. But even when I illustrate, I like to bring those nuances, when I read the text in the manuscript, to be able to add those touches of especially when it's a Hispanic book, when it's a book that, that wants to showcase the Latino culture. I want to be able to add those touches to it from my culture, so that way it brings that authenticity throughout the whole story. Oh, I want to say one more. I think the other book that I'll be working is called, which is almost done, is Moon Chef by Delia Ruiz.
Oh, nice. Oh, uh-oh. He froze just in time for the rapid fire questions.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Go ahead.
Nomar, are you with us still?
Yes, it just paused for a little bit. Sorry.
That's
That's
okay.
okay. Delia Ruiz. Okay.
Ruiz.
Congratulations. When is that one coming out?
That should be coming out. Oh, I'm so bad with dates. It should be coming out soon. In a few months.
All right. But we'll keep our eyes out for it. Well,
Yes.
This takes us to our rapid fire questions. So these are questions that we ask every single guest at the end of the show. And they're meant to be just very quick, whatever comes to mind. So, number one, what's one fact about you that even your biggest fans might not know?
I already said it. I'm a twin.
Well, now you're gonna give us something else. Come on. You spilled the beans too early.
Let me see. I also like Latin percussion. I got that from my dad, and I love to play congas and bongos. And whenever we get a chance, love to jam with my dad. He grabs the timbales, and we go at it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's wonderful. That's so
Very
much fun.
talented.
Thank you.
I have the second rapid fire question. If you were to use one, two, or three words to describe yourself, what would those words be? It can be one or two or three.
One, I'm always smiling. That's why they always tell me to open my eyes because I'm always like this. I smile too much.
I know the feeling, Nomar. I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Well, great.
That's a good problem to have, Nomar. We need more
That's a great
smiles
problem
every
to
day.
have. That is a great problem to have.
And in
Okay,
case you
Alicia.
didn't know, smiling is contagious, though. So
Yes.
around you will be smiling more, and
I
before you know
try.
it,
I
you
try
have
at
a
my
happy
job to
environment.
smile at people all the time. So
That's great.
Fabulous.
Alicia?
Last rapid fire question. What book or books have had the most impact in your life?
well, I have to go way back with Eric Carlisle's books. I know they're simple, but it's just the illustrations I've always gravitated towards that. And they're always the colors, the textures. That's always been something that always gravitated to me ever since I was little. So thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, when we're having fun, time flies, and this is today.
Yes.
This takes us to the end of our show. Thank you so much, Nomar, for sharing your journey, your experiences, your learnings with us and our listeners and viewers.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Nomar.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Nomar.
Awesome.
Join us for a holiday special in the next episode.